Okay, guys, we're here with the Poolman University, and today we're talking to Wayne from Taylor Technologies. Wayne, thank you for doing the videos with us for the pool guys.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
So, Wayne, one of the questions is, I'm a new pool guy coming into the pool industry. What is the best test kit for me to use?
Yeah, I get that kind of question or email. I can't tell you how many times during the day that I get it. Honestly, there's probably just one single kit that is the best all-around good start for a new pool person and tech person, and that would be either a K2005 kit or its big brother, the K2006 kit. You have, ta-da, a K2005 kit. This is what we call our bread and butter kit. Okay?
That's my favorite.
Thank you, Vanna. Call you Vanna White now.
Right here.
And the reason we always recommend this kit is that it has all the tests you need to do to not only make sure the water is sanitized and oxidized, but that the water is also in balance, neither scale forming nor corrosive. So it has tests for that kit, the K2005, for chlorine or bromine, for pH. It also has the reagents that you'll need to use if you need to adjust your pH, a test for total alkalinity, right, calcium hardness, and cyanuric acid. Everything is right there. Everything is color-coded, the caps to the test. So on Edgar's left, all those blue capped bottles that you see there go with the blue instructions that are inside the lid. That's all calcium, bingo. That's all calcium hardness, right? Now you see the yellow section, okay? That's for chlorine and bromine testing. Now, if you look at the instructions, a lot of people say, well, wait a minute, there's two different instructions there. What's going on? Well, the big brother to this kit is the K2006 kit. They all have the exact same tests, but the methodology for testing for sanitizer is different. The kit that Edgar has in his hands is a color matching kit. So you're using your eye's ability to match a developed color to a printed standard that's on that comparator block. Ed, can you pull the comparator block out and show them? There you go.
The which one?
Comparator block. That's it. Yeah. On the left-hand side of the comparator block, you'll see that's all chlorine or bromine testing, and on the other side is pH. There you go. Yeah, that's chlorine and bromine, and that's pH. That's great. Your color matching, you can do it. It's quick, it's simple, not an issue. However, some of us guys, mostly guys, have problems with matching pinks and reds. It's just ophthalmologically genetic. I'm one of those people. I can't read pinks. That comparator block, it all looks the same color to me, and I'm still working there after 30 years. Yeah, there you go. So what do we do? Well, we developed a chlorine test that's the drop test, just like the alkalinity or the calcium hardness test, where you're adding a number of drops to go from pink to colorless. Most people know pink to colorless. I know that, okay? And then you count the number of drops it takes to do that. So those two sets of instructions, the one on the left-hand side in the yellow area, yeah, there, that's for, I believe, the color matching test that's there. The other side of the yellow is for the drop test for chlorine. And so we save money by putting the same instruction for both kits. So in addition to sanitizer, you've got all the other tests in there for water balance. And remember, water balance is pH, alkalinity, hardness, temperature, which you don't have a test for because you use a thermometer, and TDS, which you only need to test for maybe once a year, if that much. And all those 5 values together to something called the Langmuir Saturation Index tells you whether your water has a tendency to be scale forming or tendency to be corrosive in nature. Now, in the kit, you're going to see one of these things, okay? It's a round wheel called the Watergram. Basically, it's a slide rule. Don't freak out, okay? But the instructions on how to do it are on the back, okay? But basically, you're going to use this dial, okay, following the instructions, and it will tell you whether the water you have there that you're testing is corrosive or scale forming, or what we call imbalance, neither corrosive nor scale forming. And it's also a great what if. What if I change a value? Like, what if I lower my alkalinity to a certain number? how's that going to affect overall water balance? So it's a great what if tool instead of actually doing it and messing it up. You would use the dial. It's 3 levels on the dial. So sorry, I'll hold it up like that so you can see it. And you would take your calcium hardness reading on this inner dial, line it up with an alkalinity reading. There you go. And then looking across to the other side, line up the pH that you've tested the water at with the 0.0 dot. And then you would read on the outer dial the temperature of the water, and that's going to tell you, that's going to give you a number, okay? And that number should fall between a positive 0.3 and a negative 0.3 for what we consider to be in balance, okay? It takes a little bit of getting used to, but it's a great, great tool. Now, a lot of times this is available on apps that you can download on your phone. We have one called SureTreat. I know Arunda has a really good app. There's a couple ones out there that are really, really good and free. Yay, free. Okay, so that you can essentially do the same thing. Okay, but this particular device has no electricity to it. It doesn't lose battery. That kind of thing. It makes a great little mini frisbee and a coaster if you need it. Let's see, multi-purpose here. But these things are very, very easy. And again, the instructions on how to do it are on the back of the watergram. Okay, so all you have to do is read the instructions. That's like my number one thing with testing. Read the instructions. That's why they're there. They will help you. They're your friend.
We know that we're not always the greatest, especially when we're out on the field trying to read. So, so guys, Taylor test kit, the K205, and this is the one that I've always used since day one. I was introduced to it, and like Wayne was saying, it just kind of has everything in there that you need to use. Now, Wayne, just pet peeve of mine, why should the guys use reagent number 1? Because a lot of guys drop the reagent number 1 and they automatically go to reagent number 2.
Kill me now. No, what does the instructions say? No, you need to use the 5 drops of 1 along with the 5 drops of 2. The number 1 reagent, R-0001, is a buffer. And what a buffer does, among other things chemically, is that it will raise the pH up a little bit so that when you add the 5 drops of DPD number 2, you're going to get the correct color development based on the amount of chlorine and bromine in the sample. If you just add 5 drops of DPD number 2 and don't add the number 1, you're going to get a color, but it's not going to be anywhere close to what it should be, or what it's not going to be accurate. Let's put it like that.
Right.
So you have to use the 1 and 2 together. And I think the reason that people just use the number 2 a lot is that they're old school and they might be using orthotolidine as opposed to DPD. Okay, orthotolidine, of course, is yellow in color, only measures total chlorine. Service techs can't use it on public pools and commercial pools, but in homeowner pools, yeah. So I know that a lot of guys, and I'm not, focusing on one state, but California, a lot of old school guys will have a little holster with 2 bottles, Phenol Red and orthotolidine, and they squirt both in the pool water. They go, oh, that pH is 7.6 and that chlorine is 4. Yeah, sure. I only know one person who put his hand over water to get things accomplished, and I don't think he used orthotolidine or Phenol Red. So, yeah.
So, one more question, Wayne, especially for the new guys that are out there. So, obviously, this test kit is the one that has the red for the chlorine. What's the difference between those test kits that use the drops that turn yellow versus the red?
Okay, and that's kind of what I was talking about. Another way to test total chlorine now is using orthotolidine. And when you add orthotolidine to a sample of water, it will go a shade of yellow, depending upon how much is in there. But the key is that orthotolidine only measures total chlorine. And total chlorine is the mathematical sum of the free chlorine reading, which is your active sanitizer and oxidizer, plus combined chlorine, if there's any there. And combined chlorine, of course, is the form of chlorine that, if you've ever walked into an indoor pool and you smelled chlorine, you're smelling combined chlorine. It's the afterthought. It's the reaction. That's the form of chlorine that causes the irritation, the red eyes, the swimmer's ear, those kind of things. that you need to get rid of with breakpoint chlorination. So those two values added together. So when you're using orthotolamine to get that yellow color, you don't know how much of your reading is actually good or not so good. With this particular kit and any methodology that's called DPD, it's got a really long chemical name, diphenyldiamine, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, that produces a pink color, okay? Proportional to the amount of free chlorine, yay, plus combined chlorine, yay, or free chlorine and total chlorine, and you do some subtraction, okay? When you're doing a color matching test, like in the 2005, you do a free chlorine test first, and then you do a total chlorine test second, subtracting your free from your total to get combined. If you're doing the drop test for chlorine, you do a direct read on your free chlorine reading and a direct read on your combined chlorine reading. And you don't really need to add the two numbers together because it's irrelevant. But if you've got combined chlorine, there's other things you need to do.
Right, you need to address that issue separate.
Right.
So, guys, I hope that answers your questions. This is Edgar and Wayne for the Pullman University, and we'll be in touch.